Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, May 3rd, 2021, and welcome to Perspectives. Trust everyone had a really good weekend. Looking forward to the new week ahead. It's a new month, yes, the 3rd of May. Trust it was a good Labor Day weekend. I saw lots of their activities, and workers still managed to be able to find the energy and the time to really celebrate and have a good time. Trust everyone is okay. All of you joining us this morning across the various platforms, we welcome you and we say thank you to Mikey Live, to Partygrenada, TNR Communications, MTV, we're on air and we're on Facebook with MTV, Sister Isle Radio in Carriacou, and our own Facebook page, a Perspectives Facebook page. I'm Brenda Baptiste, and it is time to say good morning and welcome to our expert talk panel of Senator Christopher Allie and Mr. Byron Campbell. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, Brenda. Seems you had a great weekend. I could hear it in the voice.
I did.
Labor Day.
So did.
Supposed to on. I also had a good morning to our viewers and to our listeners across all the platforms as well. I thought it was a good weekend. I went in the mountain and hike and retreat.
Oh,
and,
nice.
and get close to nature.
Oh, that's why you look so different about you. I thought it was only the hair, but it's that bonding with the earth. It's that oneness. They call it a grounding.
I was walking bare feet too, so that is.
Oh gosh, yes. So you're ready for them this week?
It was a good. And then I celebrated Indian Arrival Day yesterday.
Yes.
At Belmont Estate. So
wonderful.
That was good.
Yeah, actually May 1st, 1857. Yeah, that's when the first ship from India landed here, and so it is part of my ancestry as well. So I celebrated somewhat. I had some bus-up shots Saturday.
Okay. Yes. Into the thing.
And I had some. I forgot the name of it now. But it was really, really good. Indian food as well. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll get you to the names.
I will join the morning. Good morning, all. Morning, listeners and viewers. Labor Day, my only disappointment is that I didn't have a holiday, Saturday's holiday, naturally, but when Labor Day comes around. But no, Labor Day important, a period when we pause and give respect to workers, are critical contributors to the economy and to life, living in general. So it's a day when we pause and we recognize them. And I want to congratulate all the workers of the world and certainly of the country for the contributions they make and they continue to make. A couple of comments here. One, that the weather was great. We continue to have some rain. This weather system always coming up from South America, actually. This is not the Atlantic side. So the rain season hasn't started yet, so don't get excited about it. But
excited. I mean, my plum ripen, all my plum go ripen. So.
But I particularly want to mention one thing. Chris, and you have an interest in that, I'm sure. Is Airlift Airlift Grenada, but this particularly for cargo. And I'm talking about fish in particular. That we do have a problem. It's inadequate. We saw in the last week in at least 2 companies where we had we couldn't get the fish out, So and that's affecting income in terms of the fishers in particular. So I know it's a work in progress, that as the economies get back to some normalcy, we'll see more airlift into Grenada, whether it's American Airlines or Amerijet. But this is one thing.
I know there is some active discussions going on with another carrier to increase airlift freight out of the island, both for farmers and I suppose the fishers as well. So I know that those discussions are happening. I can't speak to how far and how mature they have gotten, but I know those discussions are going on. And of course, with the pandemic and what is happening and the vaccinations, you will see more airlift coming in. I think now JetBlue and, if I'm not certain, BA have announced that they will start back coming soon once the UK raises, hopefully on the 17th of May, raises the ban, so to speak. So allowing airlift directly into Grenada. So I think we're going to see some of that happening. Of course, there's a lot of people are concerned that once we open back up and more people, tourists, start coming in internationally, we have to be even more careful about our situation with COVID cases and what is going to happen. And so, it's another plug for people to get vaccinated. I think that is the way out.
Yeah, where's the argument going regarding vaccination requirement for business places? I mean, that discussion is on, but I heard a number from the United States where it says 63% of employees in the U.S. requires proof of vaccine to work, or the employers require proof of vaccine to work by employees, and that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Where is our position? What's our position here?
Well, we don't. I mean, employers here still have the view that it is something that you do voluntarily. Mm-hmm. We would like to see most people vaccinated, of course, so that the risk. I mean, when Attorney Ferguson was here the other day and he spoke about vicarious liability and duty of care for the environment, for workers, and for the public in general, I think a lot of us in the business world, particularly employers, is concerned that the hesitancy rate is still relatively high. I thought over the weekend I saw the figures put out by government that we have just under 20,000 people vaccinated. The target is 68,000.
Last week I noticed the lines got long again.
Yeah, so we're just about 1/3 the way, and it's good to see that Grenadians are now taking it up a little more.
I think it has to. I think it is. I think the uptick is tied to work. Mm-hmm. As certain people get back to work, especially in the tourist sector and so on.
Services sector in particular.
Yeah, services sector people are. And maybe some people are coming around and getting more informed about the vaccine. I like the word discussion you use as opposed to argument, because for vaccination it shouldn't be an argument. No. It should be a discussion. It should be persuasion. Those of us who are keep prodding and joking the government about what they're saying, we should forget that. They have said they're not going to make it mandatory. And again, Ruggles Ferguson brilliantly informed us last week that the legislation which governs the relationship between an employer and employee is the Employment Act. Right? So, I mean, vaccines, there are probably, people might say, okay, when you look in there, there may not be specifics about a pandemic, but, your own action should be guided by the kind of, relationship within your organization, and it needs to, I think it's a decision that has to, everybody have to get to the point. It can't be something that the CEO signs and it comes through HR and it goes out as a memo. Everybody have to be around the table talking about it, for the various reasons. And I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all, but the companies who are being heavy-handed and top-down, I think they may find themselves in a lot of issues. So we should be more inclusive.
One other important news over the weekend was coming from Cuba, where it was announced by the FAO that the Cuban vaccine is not ready. And a lot of Grenadians, I've heard this discussion before, I ain't taking this vaccine that they're giving right now, waiting for the Cuban. I've heard that. So, but I think it's positive in the sense that I've heard it from reasonable persons, that they have somehow confidence in Cuba's medical system, and therefore whatever comes from Cuba. So that's a good thing.
Well, I would take it further. I mean, I said that I think Caribbean governments, faltered, in my view, because I think all of us could have given $1 million or $2 million to the Cuban effort to get a vaccine.
Correct.
Understanding the relationship between Cuba and our islands, and what they have done for us, sending medical personnel, two nurses, two doctors over the many, many years, and were first there to help us in any tragedy that we had, Ivan, whatever it is. And I felt we could have helped the Cubans bring this to a reality faster. Or at least go to them and say, listen, we're making the first order for your vaccine when it's approved.
Brilliant.
And let us see how, and let us go with them. I think that support, I was disappointed to some degree that we didn't support them a little more in that respect. And understanding that they are the forefront in the medical field with many things. The cancer drugs, many things that the Cubans pioneered.
And you're so right, Senator. You're so right, Senator Allie, because that effort, had it been done, it would have been buttressed by the diplomacy part, because there are lots of governments who are represented on WHO. Our own Minister of Health is on WHO, and a lot of the diplomats at the United Nations and so on, because we know every time Cuba comes up, the pressure that comes from the United States, re-Cuba. So had we, coalesced as a region, and that's the thing, the region during COVID, we're kind of missing out, because if we think these little small islands by themselves could negotiate things, we would find ourselves kind of out, And, we have to be taking some example from the European Union and really getting together, especially things of e-commerce, technology. When I watch my phone, right, my phone saying that I am located in St. Lucia. Sometimes it says I'm located in Jamaica. Something as simple like that. When it is going to say I'm in Grenada or in the Caribbean or whatever. So all of these things, we really need to come together and get those things sorted.
And if you add to that now the issue of access to vaccines, seeing what is happening in India.
Yeah.
And now that is becoming a thing for especially small islands like ourselves. Then you say, look, we have a Caribbean country right here, right next to us, that is now able to supply. Come on. Let us put something. I'm happy to see the WHO approval, so let's see how we go now to get vaccines for our people, whether it's a Cuban or whatever. But I mean, I think that is the way we should have gone.
But Chris, particularly as we begin to see, because as I look around the parties, the activities, I mean, I don't see a lot of face masks around. I see people congregating in fairly significant numbers. So clearly, I mean, it tells me that there is a desire to get back to normal.
Of course.
Let's be honest, we have gone into a complacency state.
Yeah, that's the point.
Because we don't see the threat pervading. And that numbers are not being wrapped up, and people are kind of pandemic wary. But we need to be more wary. Why? Because look at. I mean, yesterday I followed Trinidad media for a while, and it is just the Prime Minister is coming out again today, and the suspicion is that he's going to be putting down. He was out last Wednesday and he closed lockdown. More or less, they don't like using the term lockdown, but you're not locked down. And he's coming out again today, and they seem to think that he's going to be coming out with more measures, rightfully so. They are just, when you look at, I noticed, so they were going to be, the restrictions came into being at 12 a.m. on Thursday. 10 o'clock Wednesday night. You think people are flocking to supermarkets? They're outside Royal Castle, they're outside KFC, the lines in the vehicle. And then yesterday, there's this blogger. There's an irony to this. There's this media blogger, Ian Allen. He was on Facebook basically saying that the Prime Minister invented the numbers that are spiking. It's not true. That he invented this thing because he wanted to lock the country down. And there were thousands of Trinidadians on that live agreeing with that gentleman. I had to get off because I felt the hair at the back of my neck raising. And that's normally an indication that I'm going into another zone that I myself don't like.
There's a lot of hair.
So I came off. No, there are some little hairs right around here. So I came off the live because it is dangerous, and for everything with the pandemic that's whittling down to politics. There was someone again, a Grenadian, wrote this long spiel about Obama and all this conspiracy. President Obama he's a brilliant man, and he's also a student of history. When he was getting ready to demit office, he knew we were coming up on 100 years since the last pandemic, because 100 years before that there was one, and his thing was, who's to say there won't be another one? So he put a task force in place, and which Trump dismantled, and was getting ready. That is why the vaccines, a lot of them have been at an advanced stage, really, because scientists and learned folks like us can't be bothered. They were already thinking that we were getting up to the 100-year mark, which was 2020, and indeed it came. So it's not a conspiracy. It was just precedents and history.
Yeah. Some people would say that is a conspiracy in its own right.
No, it's
planning
not.
for a pandemic.
Because evidence is there. The evidence is there.
But the Trinidad thing, I just wanted to go back on Trinidad. The Trinidad thing, as one of our closest neighbors, is really concerning.
Yeah, it is.
To have 500 and something cases over a 2-day period.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
329 in one day?
Yeah, I don't
and
know
12 deaths?
Which prime minister in which country will want to kill people and invent 12 people
We're
dying?
going crazy.
You know, that's just so...
We're going
crazy.
But
that being said, I mean, the lockdown in Trinidad, and I could imagine, I have colleagues in Trinidad, and I could tell you, they are wary. And when that lockdown came, I mean, everybody kind of went further depressed with this, the greater restrictions.
So they need to talk to their peers.
I understand it's not an easy thing. Like in Grenada, we have so much freedom. We kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
We could go anywhere, go on the beaches, run. We could do anything at that.
Because
we
when it
don't
was
understand.
time, when it was most serious for us, we responded. When they said don't do this, we did it.
Well,
We
that's part of the
complied.
problem in Trinidad,
We complied.
you know?
Trinidadians are by and large not complying.
And you know, the politicians need
I mean,
to be
there
careful
was
too.
opposition leader out talking about sunlight again. I mean, you should be getting with the prime minister and trying to. This is not.
When you see what's happening in India, and a lot of it had to do with the politics, having huge political rallies with no attention to face masking.
It's a definite
and then
contribution.
they just went.
It's a contribution to what they're experiencing right now. But I think, you know, the vaccine conversation is important, and we have to be very honest about it. I've taken the vaccine, in fact, both doses, but there are unanswered questions, or there's questions we don't know. For example, and I think this conversation, again, I'm just reiterating it's important. So, for example, and these are questions people ask. One, how long will the vaccine last? We don't know, but it works for now. That's the point. Whether you'll need a booster in the future, probably, we don't know, because it's happening as we speak. The second thing is how effective it's going to be against the new variants that are emerging. You don't know. But the point is, this is what we have. We know that the efficacy is high, quite high for those who take it, that you're not going to get sick, you're not going to end in hospital. So that's important. And if the economy, if we're going to get it back to any kind of normalcy, it's critical that we all, you know, we each have a part to play, you know, ourselves, our families, our friends, our neighbors, our work colleagues. It's important that we go forward and we just, you know, a lot of work has to be done, because if at 20,000, as you say, these are good numbers, it means that we have some growth.
Yeah, target is.
No, it's not good numbers.
No, meaning that it's moving upwards.
I went on the CARICOM, I think CARICOM or OECS, which site I went on? Grenada is the lowest vax country in this part of the world.
Yeah, that's
so hesitancy is high.
Grenada, I mean, it sticks out as a sore thumb. I mean, Trinidad who got the vaccine about 2 weeks ago. I mean, well, yes, it's 1.4 million people there, but they're way ahead of us. Dominica, St. Lucia, even St. Vincent has surpassed Grenada. Grenada is way down there. It sticks out as a sore thumb. And we need to watch that, because it will start impacting other indices in terms of what happens with our relationship with the developing world, which we rely on, because sometimes we talk as if we out in fantasy land and we own and we have it all and so on, but we are so interdependent that too is important to watch. So we really have to pay some attention to the education about the vaccine. Everybody needs to get involved. And the politicizing of it, we probably need to do a lot less.
And I just think we're fortunate to have it, you know. So you don't have to go very far to hear about not just India, but almost every other country in Africa and elsewhere. The availability of the vaccine is very, very low. You know, they just don't have it. They have some countries that haven't even started
On Friday morning, the BBC was reporting that India, they started to burn bodies, right? And they were finding difficulty finding wood.
They're running out of wood to burn. Because
that was painful.
The guy was saying that the official figures is 2,000-3,000 persons, and he says like 10,000 persons.
Painful.
It's not.
It's not good.
And nurses and nurses crying because they don't know how to help COVID patients. We have not seen that, so we don't relate. So we figure God is a great
in terms of our success.
Absolutely. Today is World Press Freedom Day. Yes, just to
Yeah.
And the theme is information as a public good. Information as a public good.
That sounds as a reflection of Donald Trump.
World Press Freedom Day 2021. Well, information as a public good, just look at how media has handled the vaccine. And just in Trinidad alone, I spoke to you about that gentleman who was on the blog yesterday, and I look on at other news agencies and so on online in Trinidad, and even here as well. Media has not done a good job at educating on the vaccine. Instead, they have created scare, sensation, scaring people. And you know what, in Trinidad? They jump the line because they call them essential. And instead of older people getting the same media people who are writing stories to say vaccine killing, they get the vaccine already. And there they are, vaxxed. The same media.
But you talk about media, social.
So information as a public good. That's a very apt theme for World Press Freedom.
But what is social media?
I see stories today, all media.
All media.
Wherever you are, because remember, in a lot of these cases, let's say in Trinidad, Guardian Media is no longer a TV station or newspaper, you know. It is a platform, because digitization has ensured that, and they're finding a way. So you find the Express online, you know, everything is there. Whatever happens, CBC Barbados, same thing. It is now a digital platform. Yes, they have a TV station, but the radio online, everything, all their shows are online. So that's what it is. So information as a public good, the vaccination, I trust I can see some good stories about vaccinations today.
Brenda,
well-researched ones.
That's an interesting line, information as a public good, because if we look at what happens on social media, the Facebooks and the various other social media platforms, you really have to see that discussion about control and what should be allowed is going to be a discussion about freedom of speech versus the public good. Interesting. But,
and also, what is the responsibility? What's the responsibility of media also? Do they have a responsibility?
It's a whole debate. I mean, some countries block them.
It's wider now than traditional media, you know. It's everything. But it boils down simply, you know, there is your rights, your judicial and legal rights, freedom to say. Some people say they could say whatever they want to say, so they say. But there's right and there's wrong.
And there's, I mean, we don't have filters.
There's
and
right
you know,
and there's wrong.
People, you know, our traditional news media, as I used to say, the CNNs, the BBCs, and so on, and the NBCs, and that we have exposure to here, Al Jazeera. People traditionally would have looked to them as news medias that did research, give you stories on two sides, and so on. But now everybody believes every media is fake news to some degree. You understand? So you just don't know which one to trust, which one not to trust. And then they go to social media, get further corrupted with all kind of different views. So the average young person will tell you, boy, they ain't sure. Because everybody have a line they want to push. So you're kind of in a world now of...
But if you're on air, you know, though, part of the ambit of being on air or being in a space where you're writing and so on, your part of the thing is to inform and educate. Inform and educate. And if you keep going back to that, you'll always bring all different sides of the story.
But you're showing the history. History was written with certain biases as well. So with information, there is bias.
But that's why you give the sides.
Who writes the history?
That's why you give the sides. You know? Because you can remember any narrative, you can find things to support it. So it's very important you put it out there in a very responsible way. You cite your sources or your situations, and then you let people start questioning or start forming their own. You understand? But having said that, I'd like to congratulate, because not everybody have been irresponsible with vaccine sensationalism. So I'd like to congratulate Now Grenada. It's an online publication, and they have run. I've seen stories from Linda Straker, and I saw one from Curlan Campbell that really went into vaccines and people's thoughts and just how So I'd like to congratulate them for doing that. But by and large, our news stories are very, very anti-vaxxed and highly sensational. So I trust that can turn around on this World Press Freedom Day. Information as a public good. So this morning we're talking about sports. Sports, I don't know. It breaks my heart. I still having withdrawals, no intercall, no relay. all of that. So our special guest this morning, special guest panelist is Mr. Curlan Peters. He is the coordinator of sports. And when we come back, we'll be talking to him about how sports have been impacted in the pandemic. We'll be right back on Perspectives.
The COVID-19 vaccine continues to be available throughout our Tri-Island state, and it's free of cost. Protect yourself and your loved ones, and let's get back to life. Visit covid19.gov.gd for answers to your questions. Visit your nearest health center to access the vaccine. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Hello Grenada, this is Jerry Alexis, Technical Director at the Grenada Football Association. I have been vaccinated. As we are the association about to roll football out again on the field, I encourage every player to get vaccinated so that we can quickly, speedily get back on the field doing what we love.
Get Vax. It's your best shot. Hello.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Hey, are you gonna wear your mask today? You see everywhere you go. There are rules you got to follow, so don't you say COVID-19 will delay. Take the opportunity to save your community. Don't be that guy, put a mask on your face if you're heading outside. It's your life, my life, more lives will be taken if we don't try. If you feel any symptoms, call the hotline. Stay inside until you feel fine. 6 feet away every day. Keep COVID-19 far from away. Keep Grenada safe. Be COVID-19 smart.
I took my best shot for the safety of my community. Get vaxxed, it's your best shot.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back to Perspectives. Trust everyone is up and moving on this Monday morning. I know it's a little rainy and we tend to get a little slower when it's raining, but it's time to be moving. We know lots of you in the diaspora looking on. I see Lincoln Depredine is there. Good morning, Toro. Senator Allie Toro is saying a friend in Grenada told him yesterday that he ain't taking the vaccine because he don't think he need it right now. He says he wears his mask, goes to work, to the supermarkets, back home, and that's it.
say it's not it's the environment that going to cause the gentleman to have to take the vaccine.
That's correct. That's correct.
As the environment changes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Good morning, Grace. Grace Rapier is confirming that JetBlue is daily from May 6th.
Good news. Good news.
Very
good
good
news.
news. Very good
Yeah.
news.
Good news for the airport workers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
They need to start getting their revenue
Yeah.
up again,
Yeah.
and
After them
getting
are
people
facing-
back to work and so on.
Facing issues.
Yeah, very happy for the airport. Very, very happy. So that's great, and that's how tourism impacts the rest of. It's just a way to show. So here with us this morning. Oh, before we go, just so in case you're free around 11 this morning, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez is honored Aruna at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just like to hear an update from him, because the last
At
time
11.
he appeared, we didn't really gain much. But this morning, on another media house that is. But this morning with us is the Director of Sports, Mr. Curlan Peters. Of course, we're going to be talking about how sports have impacted, the pandemic has impacted sports. Good morning, Mr. Peters.
Good morning everyone, and good morning to your viewers in the different platform. And thanks for having me this morning.
It's a
Morning, Mr.
pleasure.
Morning.
It's a
Morning,
pleasure.
morning.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks
So
for
first
having
of all, I know you're an avid, you love sports.
me. Yes, sir.
Yes, that's where you come from, having been an athlete at the great SAS.
Yes. So you imagine it about man.
See, I was going, that is exactly where I was going. How have you been doing? How are you coping?
I must say, we, in this COVID time, you find ways, innovation and to enjoy yourself, in a sense, to walk through some of the stress and to look at the future, thinking of ways in which to prevent some of the backlog that we have on performance and the competition, and even in some of our programs, so that even if something happens again, we should be able to get our persons in a strategic way in executing some of the training program. And as we have said before, and I listened to you, and vaccination is one of that. We have to be vaccinated so that we could come back to our sports, we could come back to the stadium. Our kids could get the opportunity to see a different world.
Yeah.
You can know much athletes haven't traveled this year. I looking at it, I say and sit down and watch some of the US trials, and I say, Lord, please let it have Olympics. Could you imagine if the athletes for 4-5 years you've been training, you're at your peak, and there is no Olympics. I must say that I must congratulate Mr. Curlan James.
Yes.
I look at his performance, I listen to his coach on a different platform, spoke before, and to see him come back and execute it at 44.88 seconds, which I know it's a great run.
Yeah.
I'm
Imagine
very happy.
Curran is still around 44, 43.
44, you imagine that? Yeah.
Wow.
I'm prepared, and I'm very excited. Before I go further, I must say congratulations to a lot of our athletes in the US that graduated this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, we see Marcella.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we see Kurt Mitchell, we see Anderson Peters.
Yes.
Fantastic. And not only that graduated, and we have seen the improving performance 2 weeks before from them same athletes. They are really doing good and making us proud. And I want to say congratulations to you and keep up the good work. I will support you from the government as much as we can to make sure that you achieve your goals and objectives.
Right.
So we are doing things. We are doing a lot, in the sense that things are happening. Within that same week, we saw the GA put on the mini meet, and we have seen the performance and increasing time and better time of the athletes, and it brings a smile on my face that there are things happening.
Good.
So a lot of things happening.
Well, it's interesting because I remember we had Claude from TAMCC the other day on our program last week talking about depression and managing of depression, and especially among our young people, the ability to be confined and the repercussions, and the fact that we have some sporting activities. I know prior to you starting, you were talking about football, basketball, and other sporting activities that's happening. And Claude mentioned that. He said, thank goodness for the community football competitions, because people got the opportunity to go out, enjoy sports, play sports, and have spectators come and, so I think that is also a very critical part of the
This is what we have to definitely go back to, and he has shown us that we have moved over the years from our community programs to more the national programs in the sense of training. But we have seen we must go back to that to that community program, then primary school program, then village, and we have seen it emerging in all the parish, and we have supported very well. You know the restrictions in some of them, but on afternoons like last week, Saturday or Sunday was when them had the final of the football competition.
Right.
And when you look at not only the spectators, but you look at the economical benefit around there with the persons that come out with the corn, the drinks, the snow cone. So we have to get back down, the food that we love so much.
So, but that's the reality. It trickles down to the vendor.
We have to go back to the but we must really look at the community to boost that sport. But what you have to is two segments: the community aspect, and then we have give support to the emerging elite athletes, and we have seen that in the cricket program. What we have the Volcano team training here for the last 2 years, 3 years. They have been to the competition, West Indies competition. We have what we have done in the ministry. We have an elite merging program. We always have the complaint about students drop out after 18 years in sports. If they don't go to national college, they're going for construction work. We have provided a stipend for them under the Imani program. So we keep that emerging athlete. We have 60 of them. That's the first year.
Wow.
So we have 60. So we have about 13 cricket. No, we have 13 football. We have about 16 in cricket. We have about 5 in St. David's in track and field. We have 7 in Grenville in track and field. So we provide them with that opportunity to continue training for the 2 years. And with that, now what we have seen, and we have looked at the performance. So those in cricket are with the Volcanoes team, with Junior Murray and we have seen all of them participated in all the tournaments. And so you can see the level grow right there. And we have seen the cricket have the senior tournament where St. Patrick's won. They are the under-19 tournament where St. David's won. They're going to have the under-15, and they're having the 10-10 tournament coming up. So we see they are merging the cricket. In the football, they are training with the national football team.
Right.
And we have seen 9 of them had made the national team that traveled to El Salvador. So they get in a stipend, they go to train every day, and they continue in track and field. The success story they know is that out of the 7 in Grenville, 4 have gained scholarship. And what they have missed 1 or 2 subjects. So they get the opportunity to get a stipend, to go back to the classes on evenings, and they're just waiting for exam to come and result September they go. So we help at that two end, back to the community programs and help the athletes that have the potential so that they could continue with this.
That's really commendable.
And to me, that's a successful one.
Great.
Yeah.
How are these elite athletes identified?
Well, they're identified by the coaches. And it's not very hard to identify them because they perform well in the community. They perform well in all of the mini-meets, or in the cricket program, or from the school. So
it's like a qualification process?
Like a qualification process.
Okay.
Yeah, but within that year and 2 years, we try, what I'm very pushing, you have to find a skill. Because you could be there and you say you have a potential, but you see 2-3 years you're under there and you're not going anywhere. You perform that increasing. You take a 2 subject to help you. So you want to do, so you have other aspect of it. The empowerment aspect where you find a skill and we guide you through that area. If it's plumbing, a technician, a CVQ or what. But we want to help you to make that transition.
Right.
Because we have seen people call in and say, well, I was a national athlete for how much years and I should get a work in the Ministry of Sports. You're not a coach. And we cannot accumulate without programs right now.
Right.
Because right now our coaches with the elite program, they are in the community, and we're looking to give the primary schools some more support when school opens so we could regenerate our sports from bottom.
I mean, first of all, I really want to congratulate you, the department, for being able to carry on a number of activities even during a pandemic, and I recognize there are different aspects of sports. We have the sports tourism, and because of the pandemic now that's on a low, obviously. But and you talk about the elite and the community, and I want to just comment and say, in the community where I live, I know that the ministry, because of the ministry now have taken responsibility for the maintenance of the facility. That's Mount Morris sports facility. But I want to talk a bit about what's happening in the school systems a bit. Particularly, we know I think it was 2019, 2020 when the teachers, in terms of the labor actions, union actions, had withdrawn support for and this affected, of course, the primary school sports and the intercall. Particularly, what's the present situation now in terms of, given the labor situation? Are you getting full support from the teachers, and how is it affecting sports at the primary and secondary level?
Right now, we must say that with the COVID, it cannot change the dimension of the discussion.
Yeah.
Because we are more looking at preventing our children from, and looking at the health and safety. So I must say, within that same context, the aspect of sporting at the school level has dropped a little lower. So we put more emphasis on the community aspect to cover the kids that need that support to help with some of the stress issues. So within that, we have seen a lot more community coaching programs emerging around the communities and the village, which we are pushing. We are hoping that things settle down so that we could get back to to the level in which we reach a level of intercall or private primary school sports. But in this sense, in this context, what we are trying to do, make sure that the persons that train and get competition. So what we are doing now, we are supporting the associations in executing some of the mini-meets. We have a mini-meet, when I say we are Grenada Athletics Association, we collaborate with them through the Ministry of Sports. We'll have a mini-meet on the 8th of this month. We have with Sunrise Games on the 27th of the 24th of this month. So we are trying to make sure that the competition, the athletes get the opportunity to compete. The big goal is that we have to, like all the football is doing and the cricket is doing at the level of parish, we have to go back there to get the athletes to compete at parish level and then to have national events, because they must get a national events. So we'll try to, that level of discussion if it's at a national level in the sport.
Can the public come to these games?
No. Most time the permission is not granted for the public. I don't know if that will change.
Why? Why is that happening?
Well, basically we're following because the association have to write through the Ministry of Sports to the Ministry of Health when you're having activity, and we follow the guidelines from the Ministry of Health.
Yeah, but isn't the stadium big enough to at least hold 300 or 500 people?
Yeah, the stadium holds 7,000.
But seriously. Here we are.
But the discussion is there with the Ministry of Health.
But we've been discussing it for a long time.
Yeah, but we want to support. They have done such a wonderful job in protecting us and our families from the COVID, and we want to support our co-ministry in the decision and wait until that we get that. I'm hoping that we'll get it for the 8th and for the 24th. That they say you allow maybe 50% of the capacity of the
But
stadium.
they don't tell you that. They won't tell you bring people if you don't ask them.
The request, it's very difficult for you to have a mini-meet. Put up a mini-meet with the cost of transportation, the cost of renting the stadium, getting the athlete refreshment, and you do have a gate receipt.
Right.
So I'm not saying that. They are making the request day after day after day, so that they could have the. So once they revise the policy,
that sounds like a no for now.
No, I'm not saying no. I think it's.
That sounds like a no. That sounds like you don't have nobody in the stadium for
we have seen the committee giving the COVID committee have loosening up on some aspect. What I've done this week, the crews could go to 100%, half of the capacity. We have seen some of the community events happen with persons. So we are hoping that for this 8, they will. Yeah, because I'm not on the panel to say, well.
I always wanted to ask this question. For persons that are involved in sports. The question is, now the phenomena is that athletes, different sports, football, cricket, are performing competition without spectators. Does an athlete perform at the same level without spectator, or the spectator is an important dimension to performance?
It is.
Yeah.
We need spectators. We train. Most time we train without.
Yeah.
We're ready to come to put
So what's the level of performance then? Is it up to par?
Then you have to motivate yourself in a sense, because you want to the 400-meter run. Now, the waiting on scholarship, they want to be able to have a good time. So you have to tell yourself there are spectators there.
Yeah, because Tokyo is discussing right now whether to have the Olympics without spectators.
Yeah, well, there's a big discussion.
Tokyo, at least they are giving back persons the money for spectators.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I want to take your question to you on the emerging athletes.
That's millions of people.
Find out. I hear football, cricket, athletics, but I want to declare very early, I'm a basketball enthusiast.
Yes.
So I will declare that early. Right, so is it going to be
basketball and badminton?
Is it going to be extended to basketballers? Because I know we have some basketball programs.
But you have no basketball, you have no tennis, you have no netball.
Right. So emerging athletes. Because I know we have a number young men that on scholarships for basketball and so on. So they have been doing well over there. So would you extend the emerging athletes?
The objective, basically, the discussion I'm saying that you cannot develop an emerging athlete if you don't have competitions. And I don't knock, and I will call me Jason. You must have competition. There are some sports, the organization, are not functioning properly. Or they don't have you must have competition is one in your sport. You must have outreach development program. Let's say you use boxing or you use tennis and you just there as your president, you are not going on. You must have some competitions going on. You must have one competition. So the objective is that all the sports will fall in. So I use those that have organized structure to make that recommendation. So I'm hoping that next year, please, the next time they take in many persons, I could say, okay, I need 100 persons. Because all the sports have, they have the emerging program.
So you're saying GNBA need to get their act in order?
They need to get there, and others. They need to start having a competition. Sure. Just one. Have a national competition.
So I want to throw something to you now that might be controversial to get the government's and your ministry's perspective, and that is the local organizing committee of the Olympics.
Okay.
And there's a lot of controversy going on there now with monies and audits and what is happening or shouldn't be happening and so on. And there seemed to be an incestuous relationship. They had a board, 5 people resigned, only 4 going on there. Is this discussion at a point where we believe that government should get involved? And why I'm asking that, when we talk about corruption in countries, we traditionally look at the political corruption, we look at corruption in business. We also have to look at it in sports.
We have seen it from Jack Warner, from
FIFA. And it affects the country's image. And the question I'm putting to you is, do you believe there is coming a time, or the time is at the point where we need to understand that we need to do a deep dive into this committee, this Olympic committee that we have now, to understand exactly what is happening? And should government get involved?
I feel government should get involved. Why? I think when the athletes go, they represent Grenada. And you don't hear when they problem when you hold them in anti-doping, and you hear the ban Curlan Peters from Grenada.
Right.
You look at you talk about the sports tourism and the opportunity that can be gained. I think, but within that same breath, from what you have seen on the local news on what is happening, I think they have an internal financial committee that is doing an investigation. So I think we should wait for that too.
The investigation has ended?
Oh, it's ending. Okay.
Yeah, and they want to present the report, and I hear that is causing another controversy again.
Yeah, but I strongly believe that there is no way that government would not get involved. There are some aspects they have at a particular time we must get involved in the discussion to see how it could be settled in our level, because we have seen what happening in boxing too over the weekend, and I think that the minister is preparing to call the 2 bodies together to have a discussion. So we all sit and stay quiet on the issues because we know the players. But in sports, I think we like the challenges, and we look what's happening in most of the association around the world. And we have seen the change in some of the discussion. We have seen the change in many discussion in all aspects of our thing, where the younger persons are stepping up and saying how you are doing things before we need to change it and coming out more to the public. So I think sooner or later the government will get involved.
Similarly, and yes, it's being challenged, yes, by younger people, but that's a natural progression of life, and sometimes we seem to be adverse to that in Grenada. When somebody comes out of somewhere and challenges the status quo or things that have been happening for a long time. Because think about it. Things that were valid, things that worked in 1974, they're no longer applicable to 2021. And so just because we get so personal about these things and so territorial, but if we really look at the things on their face and see whether or not it fits the objective as to why an organization started, why a relationship started, why you developed a product. If we look at it in the broad sense was trying to meet the challenges and making it suitable for the times in which we live, then I think we would be more inclusive and realize that there are people that bring, everybody brings something to the table. So the young ones can't say, okay, time for all them old people to go. No, they have the wisdom. And they have right? And you have the enthusiasm, the innovation. You're the next, the baton, like a relay. The baton is being passed to you. So you move along the curve together.
Because the thing we have, it's difficult time all along in all aspects of our society. And we look at the athletes abroad and the difficult situation some of them are going through. Yes, we have during the COVID time, we have met with all of our athletes, not the international one, with those in college, university, the junior, we have similar package for them.
But some came home, didn't you? Some came home.
We have helped in and make that possible in all aspects. So we have that communication with the athletes. The athletes call me personally because they're going through difficult time, we have to assist them, but we need that discussion with the Olympic Committee to certainly ask so that they could reach out and give the service to the athletes that are required.
A lot of people are heavily critical, and to Brenda's point, 38 plus years of some of them being in certain positions. I mean, time for us, from a governance point of view, just from a governance and transparency point of view, the question will be asked, boy, in every other institution, they have limits to what people must be there for. And yes, you have experience and you could bring that to bear and you could have a rotation where people bring, but to stay almost 40 years.
It's a long time.
I mean, come on, that's a lifetime. People will probably say it's becoming incestuous. What is happening there? Are we trying to protect
in terms of the elite program, though, is our program, are we part of the IOC's program? Somebody here is asking. Or is our program fashioned after the IOC's program?
Well, not the IOC program fall under the Olympic Committee.
Right.
Our program is local.
Are we part of that? Grenada?
Well, I think some of the programs, I do not know, I don't get a report on them from the Olympic Committee, so I do not know what, but I know they have there are different programs that some of the artists, because
a report from the Olympic Committee.
Oh, that's what he said?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have programs, but we're not aware of the programs that they have. We might,
So how can the Olympic Committee and the Ministry of Sport operate in a silo? To me, all had to be jammed up like boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah, I think that is what should happen. Remember, the players there, they were the same person in the Ministry of Sports. So it's like they was jamming themselves together.
That makes it even worse,
Right.
We need to have
But then there's rule and regulation through the committee that govern the interference with the government and the associations.
Right.
In which way you can get involved. But I think that...
but a lot of funding comes from the IOC
and
to
the
local organizations.
But they also, a lot of Olympic sports are the same sports that we have. So you're doing for cricket, you're doing for football, you're doing for basketball, you're doing for tennis, you're doing for this one. All of those are Olympic sports.
You need to have a discussion with you.
No, but I mean, and I'm sure
they will explain
I'm
some
sure if we do, I'm very sure if we do a deep dive, we would find that the hesitancy, if you will, comes from both sides. Because remember, some of us are queen and kings in our little fiefdom,
Ministry of Sports need plenty help with money and other things. They will be happy to get assistance.
People are the head of organizations and whatever, and they're not coming up.
You bring efficiency in some extent, you bring cost reduction. It's a cost reduction strategy anyway.
So why?
We did collaboration in programs.
You just mentioned, Peter.
So why is it not happening?
You need national events.
When you call them for you next week, you will ask them.
No, I'm asking you from your vantage point. Why is it you have been involved in sports for a long time, Curlan? Community, school, everywhere. From your vantage point, why is it not happening?
We all know why in Grenada, we just not saying anything. We all know. I don't know why you're
Curlan, you're not getting away.
He won't answer, so I'm going to ask him something else.
You're still not getting away. But anyway, you're still not getting away from this one because some people on Facebook helping me out here. Listen, we have a situation, we're going back to why we can't come and watch Whitsuntide games in a big stadium. I'm exaggerated. Listen, we have a setup bus tour going around the country every weekend. That's Saturday alone, I meet up bus tour after bus tour after bus. So some jam on Egmont Bridge and it's carnival and they jumping up. 18, 21, 22, 30 people in our bus. Jam up. I just hope we end up like Barbados with a bus crawl situation. Having said that, if all them people could jam up, why we can't come and watch you with Whitsuntide games in the stadium? Curlan, you have to go back to the Ministry of Health.
We will make a recommendation to the Ministry of Health another time again. And we are hoping that
we're not making recommendation, no, we're lighting fire.
No, we have to. Listen, we have to support it. We have to support and we have been doing well here. We spoke about the vaccine, and it's obvious that we haven't.
Call Dr. Charles when you go to work this morning, Dr. Sean Charles, and ask him what he think could happen. And get a good logistics. No, before you call Dr. Charles, right? Yes, I want to come in the stadium. Before you call Dr. Charles, right? Listen, in the interest of full disclosure, I have a problem. I miss athletics. I want it. before you call Dr. Charles, right? Get a good logistics person. And you're walking out, how we coming in the stadium?
Brenda.
They're mapping out Kirani James. Where we sitting, where the pockets going,
Brenda.
what we do, and you present it to him.
Brenda, we have a solution for Peters.
But let me tell the solution. Go
Get
get
vaccinated.
vaccinated.
Yeah!
Go get
And you could come.
All vaccinated persons are welcome.
Yes.
Stop pushing in that vaccine thing and developing the plan. The vaccine thing is part of the protocol, right? But the plan, because if you don't present Dr. Charles with a plan, if Dr. Charles is not, remember he's a scientist and it's public health.
Yeah.
So all he sees, he's seen the risks. You know,
giving him an
so if he
opportunity
doesn't
to
get a
reduce the risk.
plan,
Exactly.
because I hear
Vaccine.
people complaining all the time. Well, the
I'm on
Ministry of
board.
Health tell. I think you need to. Okay, so I want to have an event. Let's say I want to have an event at the Botanical Gardens. I need to tell him how show him visually how I am going to safely do this, right? Because he doesn't think for he's a scientist. That's not his job. So we need to present.
We have seen that. If you look at it, we have look at in COVID time, Wagiti had the competition, so we have to call it competition, and we have seen the display of the public.
Yeah. No, so much can come in. We have a way, let's not minimize that. We have a way because naturally we are who we are. We hug. After one person win a race, we
easy
crazy.
solution. Dodging the easy solution.
No, I'm not dodging it. I said yes.
I feel the same way too. I know the athletes will love it, but I'm telling you, I learned from the experience to respect the Ministry of Health guidelines because I know I've sent from a time boy. So why we can't do that? And the next day you hear what happened in Trinidad and you hear happening in St. Vincent.
What happening here? We like to grasp at these straws.
You have to be careful as well and understand our borders are porous. You never know when something can happen.
It sounds like a no. So let's move on. When
No,
are we going to get?
I think the guidelines is coming. Well, let me just tell you some of the stuff we are doing basically. I heard the discussion in all aspects of it, and I believe we are doing within this time we have tried to do, and we have been doing a lot with our facilities. We are doing a lot of upgrade. Look at the Willis. We prepare now to do the Palms in Birch Grove.
Nice.
We're preparing some work in Florida, playing field in St. John's. There, on hard court, we are looking to develop a tennis court in Grenville. In Sanders Street, down by Subies by the shop.
What about the swimming facility? I remember the people of St. Andrews when in a former life. I used to get a lot of people raising that as an issue.
Well, the swimming pool, the 50
I think the swimming
meter
pool discussion
was a location issue.
That's on my
notes. The swimming pool wrong here. Let me forget that. Let me go Grenville. When we get a pool up there?
Wasn't there a decision again? Olympics was involved in that.
This is definitely fall on the Olympic Committee with the funding and everything. So we definitely.
What was the location for this?
Right the stadium here. The
Around
land have been given to them.
The stadium, right at the back, outside there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they have so.
That makes it even more critical for us to get involved and find out what is going on in the Olympics.
Because there's a funding.
Let me tell you, swimming is a big thing for Grenada. Swimming and our
swimming is one of the best run things
talent
in Grenada.
We have the Olivier brothers swimming now last weekend.
Oliver did a great job last weekend. Congratulations.
Competing.
But the lack of a 50-meter pool, the lack of a 50-meter pool restricts them.
Absolutely.
Listen,
getting to the international timings.
We have created some elite swimmers in that bathtub in Good Hope. But the Swimming Association is one of the best run associations in Grenada. Grenada Cricket Association, during this pandemic, they have done a stellar job. Grenada Football Association. These associations have kind of separated themselves, so to speak, in terms of the eliteness of the administration of sports. So we must congratulate them.
And one mistake that they were getting funding, so international funding.
I don't think it's just funding. I think the administrators involved in the association
swimming is about commitment and the parents and the support.
But I want to make one comment about the swimming too, and to big up the individuals that were involved with the national swimming program where their target was 10,000 Grenadians, teaching young people swim. And that was extremely successful. Organizing cross-harbor swim and other things. So clearly, I just want to support. I am. So
Declare your public bank would have learned to swim.
So this is a real big deal. And the swimming facilities, I mean, you call Good Hope a what?
A bathtub.
But it's the beginning, and it is, clearly. So given that facility and what we've done, you imagine, project your mind the opportunities if we have an international facility. So and it's linking to the Olympic Association body, because that's where the finances. So it's important for Grenada to be involved in ensuring that this issue in the association is settled.
And settled quickly.
Because there are a lot of implications.
There are a lot of implications.
I also want to go to the point, Curlan, about the support to the maintenance of the courts and all of that. I think you guys have done an excellent job with the fields as well. It's not just the courts. And I mean basketball courts.
Something has changed with how sporting fields are managed in Grenada. What?
Well, what we have
because
done,
we had gotten very wayward with it.
We have
something has changed.
We have contracted most of the fields. And what we have done for the last 2 years, we have given the contract to associations in the community. So you spoke about your community. The field is assigned to you.
Excellent
You're giving your money every month for the maintenance. We assist some of the football teams, clubs, some of the organized.
So they have a vested interest in seeing
like Queen's Park Rangers Club in charge of the field there. We have Springs Football Club. So this is the way in which we are going.
So I want to throw something for you now on your radar. We have, I think, one indoor basketball court that is in Laborie. We should put another one in Guelph. I didn't know I was going Guelph because I've been supporting Sparklers for many years.
Sparklers is a big deal.
Sparklers, I mean, Citizens have been a sponsor of Sparklers
for
20 years, probably 20 plus years.
But the indoors are more expensive though, no?
No, I mean, you could build an indoor court for about $1 million, just a little over $1 million, because
the one in Laborie was a pretty nice one. Is it still in good condition?
It needs some repairs. To be done.
Well, I think the government should look at that because, I mean, when you see, and I'm going back to basketball, I declare my bias, the young men that it attracts still, and we take off the street and we keep an organized program. And congrats to the NACA team and what they have been doing up there.
Doing well for years.
And they have the reason we continue to support it on critically because he does great work with the young men.
Joseph,
and our men are always in danger of moving. And to keep the young men in an organized way is a good thing. So I think, we need to do that.
It's great. The Paradise Football Club, look how they have lifted that community. I mean, it's just brilliant. I mean, I think somebody should probably study how that happened as a thesis or something to get their masters in sports administration.
The clubhouse being progress back. And what is important, the collaboration with the female aspect of the component is really developing.
But the
female parties
female footballers.
The female footballers from the whole Paradise.
Well, you're in this thing long. I mean, when sports get the community involved, is a completely transformation.
Yes.
On both sides,
it's development.
Listen.
On both sides. And this is not governmental.
Economically beneficial.
Listen, watch Paradise, Guelph, St. Paul's, River Road to some extent. All strong sporting communities. St. David.
You look at St. David's.
St. David's with the cricket
sporting communities.
And
what do strong communities do? They build strong nations. And I really liked, in everything you said this morning, you kept going to community. You kept citing community. So that must be commended from your level at the Ministry of Sport, at the fact that you're getting so entrenched with them and building from the ground up.
From the ground up,
I
think I think the elite emerging program is just a first part of my overall project. My overall project is that we have a school for sports. So we get the financial support through the money program. We have the capacity and the knowledge and certification of persons here that could do that. We have seen, I don't want to call it, but we have seen St. Lucia do that. And when I have seen that in St. Lucia, I said there is no way St. Lucia should beat us to that. With the amount of Cuba graduates that we had over the years, we should have with sports. we athletic sports, so we sports school in general, all sports, because we have the persons. So we definitely have to change now. We're not so much, we'll invest so much in schools as we have done all our program through the school program, because the time and the contact period is too short to develop them today. So we have to go to the community.
Let's go back to vaccines.
I'm the national sports policy that we were supposed to be writing and getting done.
It's a carnival queen. She goes through different phases.
No, but I mean, I know we've been having that. That has been on the radar for a while.
Remember in the Carnival Queen show, right? When you're a Carnival Queen, you come out and you do your introduction, right? Then you come out, you do your ambassadorial speech. Then you come out in your swimsuit. Then you come out in your costume. Then you come out and you do your evening when you interview. And then you come out for your coronation. So the sports policy is the elusive carnival contestant of Grenada. She didn't come for the coronation.
But we work together to the final stage of the queenship. We should come out and receive our medal very soon and trophy and prizes.
The sport policy is supposed to,
so really much that.
There's a strategic plan for sports for Grenada. So that is an important plan.
That's it.
Just to go back to vaccinations a bit, from the level of the Ministry of Sport, have we sought to engage Kirani, Kurt, Anderson, Lyndon, about Melanie, about talking to athletes, just about this difficult period and their own stories, and kind of like, talking about vaccinations? Have they been vaccinated? How do they feel about it? Have we sought to engage them like that?
We haven't. To be honest, most of the communication, we will send congratulatory note to them. The minister will call, we talk to individual, depend, make requests. But what I'm trying to do, all what is happening now, I'm just trying to get all the contacts, which I have, all the contacts, so that we could start being closer to the ministry end with the athletes. Because what will happen, if you watch our ministry rule here is to guide in the sense of regulation and competition. And the international athletes, they deal more to the affiliations, the Olympic Committee and so. With what happening now, I think that we have to get a little closer to them. So I'm actually putting plans in place.
You need to put them on your WhatsApp.
So I need to get them involved. But we have been living that for the different, because...
because I think they will play a critical role in speaking to us.
In speaking,
also on an interview. Remember, Kirani James and Lyndon Victor and Kurt, they are world athletes.
They're world athletes,
So they are Olympic athletes. They're regional, stars. And I think in this time we should find a platform and a voice for them.
More in that.
Don't wait until some sponsor push them out there. Let us as a country start doing it.
Yeah, we're working on that. It's obvious now that we definitely have to get closer to them through all what is happening.
So when is Intercall?
Oh Lord, when I wish you could have said I could have invited for Intercall. I look at the minutes, the last 2 minutes, I go back home and I call the association, I say how we can help. And we know the cost and everything. So I say, okay, let me support you, ministry will support you with the next two. That's the 8th and the 24th. And I'm hoping that maybe the regulation will change for the COVID committee so that we could have persons in the crowd. Because we want to give the athletes the time, you could see the drastic improvement in the time. We need to give them the support so they could bring out,
That is excellent that the athletes haven't lost the, the will and the enthusiasm to keep working hard.
Roger Augustine Roger shared the athletic meet. And I mean, their performances, it was so impressive. Nobody in the stadium, but
we have to commend them. I mean, that's not a easy thing.
And the Grenada Athletic Association really have to be commended as well. The fact that they could, because some people just sitting there waiting for COVID to pass. COVID not passing. Like the Carnival Queen, COVID going through different stages.
If the Olympics don't come off as we want, some athletes, that's their last opportunity to participate in the Olympics because they're at that stage in their life.
And psychologically too, that could be creating
that's a pocket too.
Yeah.
That will determine
of course.
And
that's why I like the thrust on what you're doing to get them to be more.
Yeah.
It's because something can happen. They can break their legs. Something could happen. They can be, afflicted with a disease and they can't run, they can't jump, they can't play basketball anymore. So then what then do you do? Where, what pool do you dip into to continue to live as a human being?
But we must mention some of the coaches that are working really hard. I don't want to miss anybody in the sense, but all the coaches are working. You look at Paul Phillip and Dennis Williams and in St. David's together with Duncan with the cricket development program you have there. If you go to Grenville, look at Mr. Win Maxwell, you look at the whole Paradise football structure.
Yes.
You look at the Sincere, and then with the basketball, they're trying to rejuvenate that in the parish. They get sponsorship for paying for the basketball.
We must congratulate them, because remember, basketball took a really deep dive, nose dive. And I think Jerry Sincere and they brought it back.
We have repairs, 4 courts in St. Andrews, we do Pauls, we do Simon, we do Grambas.
As you talk about repairs, the National Stadium, cricket stadium, I know there was a project announced some time ago. I mean, such a facility requires significant maintenance, and I know, what is the status of this program for the repairs of the facilities?
Chinese should have been here before the COVID. 100 of them should be here. They had the plan, everything. They had came and look at the work that will be done. Within this period now, they have to do a whole assessment and scope of work. They were here. We were here a month ago, the ambassador, looking at some of the work still. So our team have to come back once they open out to go over, because within a period of time, your whole planning and your whole thing changes. The demand changes, scope change. So we have to go through that cycle again. And we're hoping that
it's good that it's earmarked for that.
You will see that the athletic stadium has been, we have some repairs going ahead there. You could see installing some lights in the warm area right now. You pass through the and they have done some of the work inside, internal work with the, with the ECs and the wall and what repairs. So the repairs are going on there. But here, I guess we have to give the Chinese that time.
Here is a far more extensive job.
Because
remember when they initially said it's going to be millions, because a lot of the things here have deteriorated significantly. So this one, I mean, the scope of works, as you say, is going to significantly
different from what they have seen 2 years ago. But we continue with the work with some of our, as we mentioned, we are doing some work on the limes now with the basketball court. We are doing, so we're trying our best to see how we could get most of the community facility back up and stream, so that competitions could be run through there. The school is always a challenge. I know we have based our sports on school setting over the years. I think
all other sports.
Basketball,
cricket,
swimming. I think we have to get the associations to step up now and to see how we could assist them in the ministry, so that we could execute some of the programs and some of the competition at that level. And give them the support, even from through Ministry of Sports, through coaching, through financial assistance in the competition prizes, but we want the competition. Like right now, we need a secondary school basketball competition. We can't do that, but we could get a parish basketball competition. We could get a local community basketball competition. So this is what used to happen, and that we need to get. And as you say, when the community is involved, it's a lot of players, and you see.
I go sound repetitive here, but Olympics have a significant role in that. Why? Because Olympics have access to monies that could help the associations put on these competitions.
They have finance for small associations.
That's right.
You launch and
that is
so it's a national issue.
It is.
Has some for
collaboration with the Ministry of Sports. Groaning under the fact that you like to see other things happen, but the finance plays a major role in that.
And the two bodies definitely should be closer, so that you could
very close.
So we don't do the same program. Because if you heard in the line, from you will hear that they are doing that program, and they say, but I've been somewhere to do that same program already. So you need that kind of collaboration. But unless I think the intervention and the discussion must be there.
Supporting the coaches, the ones to give the coaches stipends and transport. I mean, come on, and for a small country like ours, it is even more amplified when you see these things happen with these associations, and we can't get the monies to filter in the right direction. And we can't partner with Ministry of Sports to say, listen, let us execute that program together, so monies come, sports could put this and I'm not understanding why. Again, I sound like a broken record, but you really had to.
Do you have any idea? I know we just talked about the repair of the National Stadium and so on. In terms of the lighting, though, what's the estimated time of arrival for those lights?
But I know there are program coming up soon. Will be the minister will speak about both in works and maybe sports with the lighting of some playing field. I think we'll also discuss within you that the status of the national stadium. But I know there are some local programs in the parishes that are coming up, and then the minister will discuss it. So
Australia is coming to
the Caribbean. Yes.
And I saw the International Cricket Committee kind of hemming and hawing as to whether or not that crowds be allowed at the venues across the Caribbean because of COVID, vaccinations, of course, the risk involved. So, it's just it's more going back to you again with
well, first stage we have to make
why
a
we
bid.
can't come in the state.
We have to make a bid to see if that we could, to make sure that we make a bid that we could be selected for one of the venues.
And if you look at the graph where Grenada is under in terms of vaccinations, I think that might be a no.
No, but when you look at the graph, in terms of
and you look at
the infections per GDP, we leading. And in terms of very little infection. You have to weigh both.
The ICC was putting a lot of emphasis on vaccinations.
No, but you have to weigh both. I mean,
so
our
I don't
infection
know that
rates
the ICC gonna weigh both.
But
so if we get, we get. But I'm just saying that, I mean, we don't know whether we'll get a match as yet. But if we do, I'm making the point to say that it hinges on where we are with vaccinations and how they feel about. Because the thing about it is, when they were talking, I was just like, oh gosh, the Caribbean. Imagine cricket coming to the Caribbean. Australia, probably our biggest arch rival. I think England is coming next year as well.
Also too,
And we imagine Caribbean people can't go to the venues. Well, so it was just, you know.
One of the things that's going to be driving that now, they can't go to India and they can't go to some other places, so they have to come to the Caribbean.
I think soon, and that's going to help push persons to go to get vaccinated. They will say once you're
it's a relationship.
The ICC, they didn't make any definitive, but from the questions and answers, they seem to be leaning heavily on, because even for their players, they are talking to the various boards and associations and so on, and they're really leaning on, because I think there's a risk involved for them as well in terms of the players, and because they're putting on the games. So in terms of infections and the exposure of the players and so on and so forth. So they were really leaning heavily on the vaccination
Another reason for us to get vaccinated.
But we keep there. We keep
I mean, for Australia to come here, we can't come in this state.
Let's keep supporting the Ministry of Health and see what we could, that we could.
Let's support. I mean, not even a ministry. Let's all just want our country to move on from this. Let's do it, because we really do need to move on.
We need to move on.
So we need to get vaccinated, and encourage those others who are, hesitant to do so.
Well, in sports, we'll continue sending out the message of the importance of vaccination. As you mentioned earlier, we should take heed about getting our athletes, our international athletes, to also do clippings on the vaccination.
I think we
that
need
will
to
help.
use them.
That's we could also use them better. And we need the athletes, and in all aspects of it, some of the competition, both local, in all the different sports, what we consider large association and small association, they are all sports that persons enjoy. You like swimming, you like boxing, I like track and field, I like football, cricket, and then we have to pick up in the community and see how we could work together. I think, some of the, as I told someone, we can't be fighting in sports, the athletes are benefited. And it's sad to see some of our poor people children that is benefiting a lot. When you look at the persons that are getting scholarship, especially in track and field, and even in all the other sports, you cannot afford it. Even if some of the rich persons cannot afford the scholarship. Because there is always scholarship there, but there is a cost that related to the scholarship.
That's right.
And so when we see person Anderson graduate this weekend, and
that was so sweet. That brought
we
a
feel
tear
excited.
to my eye.
We say, look, we see Marcella, about Marcella and
Philip
and Marcella, Philip and how he been performing from Grenville.
The reason Jamaican
Philip Marcel is a really good actor.
Because of that same thing. Athletic scholarships really, in Jamaica is a big thing. So there's strong competition, inter-college competition, what we call inter-call here, and in Jamaica there's like a mini Olympics for them.
Sports is one of the ways out.
It gets harder now in the sense that because like people call Ministry of Sports, I'm an athlete and I need scholarship, not like that anymore. Basically, you have to perform and perform well, and the scout will see you. They will come under the radar. The coaches usually write an Axel, I need a female 400-meter runner, I need a job, I need a good football.
Literally.
And then you send the clippings, you send the thing for them, and you get a scholarship. We'll assist with both the ticket to Barbados to get your visa, and the ticket to the States and to return.
Excellent.
And the scholarship will cover your home and everything, all aspect of it. You get out and work on campus to survive with your little expense. But that's the route you have been going.
Sports is one of the things that has really lifted the profile of our island, the development of our young people. And, if we, in terms of kind of building wealth for individuals as well.
Yeah. We speak about sports tourism too.
Yeah, we need to.
And it's obviously with the Volcano team. The Volcano team based here, the guys from St. Vincent, from Dominica, they are here for over the last year, 2 years.
Yes, fantastic.
And there are other teams that are interested because Grenada is, it's safe. The field is well prepared.
We had an English team here.
Toro is making a point here as we're talking about the associations. He's saying that you can judge how well the associations are run when the year ends and the associations are invited to send in their nominations for the Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year awards. Some send in detailed information of other nominees. Others just submit the athlete's name, date of birth, and address. It might sound as a simple thing, but that's a great point.
But we have to get, in some instances, I've been a member of the Athletics Association. And we definitely need to get persons involved, because you look and you say the same person sometimes 40 years.
You have to strengthen associations.
And then, sometimes the image you paint of when you are in the sports, it will depend on how you would attract persons to get involved. If it shows that your community or your committee or your association always have conflict, then persons that could make contribution to the development of that thing may not want to get involved. They say you guys are out in the public, it's always a negative.
So we have to sell our boxing sports. Though? Why are they boxing so much these days? Not in the ring, but on tables.
Oh Lord. I don't. To me, I don't
I'm
know to address.
Asking you some questions you don't want to answer.
I went to one of the meetings and the minister asked me the same thing, and I was smiling just a smile. She said you're smiling. I say it's two different groups, and to me, I don't know.
Personalities.
And personalities. But the key when you listen to the athletes is key in that, And if the athletes, you have the athletes and you have the coaches, and that they are not. And then you have the administration on this side. Then you must find some way of the goal of the administration is of the athletes. The Artists Media Association. So there must be some way in which the two groups could sit together and discuss the problem and see what's happening. Okay. But when you look at it and you see what they have sent to me, and I've looked at all this on Facebook, I look at it, and you see have an election and you see your police in the entrance, you see with that is the Grenada. You want any, even in politics and the election.
Actually, police at the entrance for the election.
So you wonder what could cause you to reach at that level. So there must be some discussion there between the two to find, because the sports we will go and we leave the sports there, but we need to work to improve towards the athletes and once that benefit.
Well,
everything in a lot of things in Grenada have become so acrimonious because of the way we relate to each other. Instead of us lifting the discussion, we lift our volume and we lift our strength and might from wherever we perched from. So we no longer, see in your view and you see in mine, and it's just a fight. Everything is just a fight. So, I don't know, we need to get better.
One of the discussions, Brenda, administration, and I mean, Curlan could tell us, administration of sports and sporting bodies in Grenada has been a voluntary process for years. And people with a love for a sport will come on and help. We need to transition it to the point where people probably are paid administrators.
Right.
You understand? To get a level of quality of people that you want for the administration of the sport.
Right.
You cannot continue in this voluntary mode and hope that somebody come in. Now, our young people in volunteering for very little or anything, unless you could speak of some tangible gain to them and so on. We need to transition.
Some management discipline.
We need to transition. And
we need some training.
When you require people to come to manage the finances of an association, the person must come with some skill. The person PR, they must come with some skill. Marketing must come with some skill. And you can't just ask people to give their skills anymore and just tell them, boy, just volunteer, we'll give you a free ticket to come to our event. Come on. We need to transition the discussion.
I mean, the model for associations could be kind of a la statutory bodies.
I mean, Olympics and these international bodies, the people they have at their level that administrating is paid professionals.
Their contract. Their contract.
And that is why they get the quality and so on. And that is the idea. Even at this small local level, we need to at least give somebody a gas money or something. But they must, so that even when I'm paying you, I could then demand more of you and quality of you. But when you're volunteering,
But
you speak.
you'll be incentivized to want to do more as well.
Right, a man volunteering, you can't speak to him and tell him what he's doing. I mean, just tell your boy.
Anyway, we gotta go.
Yeah,
It's been a great discussion. Before you leave, anything you wanna share with us?
I want to say that, continue supporting the athletes in all aspects, the football, all the teams, the athletes, the footballers, the cricketers, the netball. We are trying to work very hard, and we are working very hard. We have seen the Netball Association have a new leadership, and they are preparing to start some of the community program, which we will support and assist. We want to give volleyball the same opportunity. We know that there's some of our coaches that actually started in the community. We have one of our ex-coach out there at the academy. So in sports is, I love sports and I always love sports.
We talk about ladies football.
And we see the ladies getting involved in the sports, and it's great. We have the national team, Grenada football national team. We saw they compete in the stadium. I know Brenda would like to have at least 50% or 30% of the spectatorship. But I want to advise you, let's support the COVID committee and the COVID regulations. I must stick to that.
I comply.
And let's assist in making our athletes.
Let
me see how we could assist our athletes all over the world. Not outside, if you could assist them individually. And you could reach out to them. We'll try to make sure that we reach out to them more from the ministry. I realized that was one of our shortfalls. And we'll continue pushing the community aspects. So if you have competition in your parish and you may need a trophy, you could, reach out to us, and we have persons there. We'll give the technical support to make sure that the sports are alive. And this is what when I do that, I feel happy. I go sleep good in the night. Good. But I miss our sports. I mean, at all aspects. But I'm happy of the change and the way in which we are going. We are heading to assist the athletes more, to getting more involved in community aspect, and to in the upgrading of our playing fields and facilities. I think we are looking forward to getting more teams here, either through sports tourism package to train and to make it a home, and we're looking to do some of the repairs of all the stadium. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Trending in the right direction. And of course, your passion and your commitment and the contribution
thank you very much,
to sports bolsters well in your role as coordinator of sports. And congratulations as well as on your academic achievements.
Thank you very much.
In this COVID period. Mr. Campbell?
No, I mean, I just very pleased that even with the pandemic, that sports have developed, continue to develop. I like for me, the takeaway here this morning is the focus and the emphasis you've now put on community sports and how you're linking this with the maintenance of your playing facilities and upgrades and so on. So kudos, excellent, very good.
Senator Allie?
Well, I sat here thinking, and I think at the end of the day, when you look at what we have done in Grenada, international athletes per GDP, per country, and when you compare us to Trinidad and Barbados and so on, I think Grenada has done exceedingly well in all our sporting disciplines. And kudos go out to Ministry of Sports and all the associations who have helped in that passage, because it's not just about Kirani, but I can remember 20 years ago, we never had an international athlete or that we could speak about. And now we have many. We have more than one. We have plenty. I want to say plenty. When you talk, it's only 100,000 of us or less. You understand? And we take those things lightly, but that is a major achievement.
A country with a population and size.
And when you compare us to the Jamaicas and the Trinidadads and the bigger ones around us and so on, we are doing exceedingly well. And kudos to you and to your commitment and your team and the ministry and everybody who helps, the parents, everybody, the community. I think as a country, we mustn't let that pass by idly.
No.
We have done well. And we continue to do well. Sir Peters and them are doing what they could do within the constraints, and guys, continue. Excellent job.
Sports is definitely on a good trajectory. I think the minister before, Senator Cox, now the minister, started a really good trend.
It's been
Conrad before you, and Curlan, you have been there, so that continuity, and now you're at that level, so that's great. So best wishes. Just before we leave, guys, news out of Martinique, the volcano, Mount Pelée, has had 300 tectonic earthquakes in the last week.
My goodness me.
So keep our eyes on that. Anyway, we gotta go. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, everyone. Our special guest panelist was the coordinator of sports, Mr. Curlan Peters, and talking us through how sports have been administrated and, coped during the pandemic. And yeah, sounds like a good report, all things considered. That's our program. Thanks to everyone who carried the stream this morning. Mikey Live, TNR Communications, Partygrenada, Sister Isle, MTV on air and online, and of course on our Perspectives page. We thank you so much for joining us. Until next Monday, I'm Brenda Baptiste. See you then for a next Perspective. Bye-bye.